Hello everyone, we are very happy to have with us on Euronews a great actor, John Malkovich, who is playing in a Romanian movie about a famous orchestra conductor, Sergiu Celibidache. Hello, Mr. Malkovich. We are very happy and very honored that you are here, and I will explain why. This movie means a lot for the Romanian people because it is a famous Romanian who succeeded in the world. How do you see this beautiful story from a side?
Well, I think he was a fascinating man, really. He had such an interesting life. I think he was a great musician, a very gifted composer, fantastic conductor, and a very complicated man, I think. The film talks about him sort of always trying to live up to his father's expectations, which I think is something a lot of people would understand, both male and female, I think. But I thought he was a super interesting person, and one of the things that made him very controversial was the fact that he didn't like recordings of music. He believed music should be heard in the hall. And that's a kind of quite a conflict in the film, with most especially with his son. But I don't wholly disagree with him either, although I wish there would have been recordings of everything he did, because if you didn't happen to be in Berlin after the war, or be in Munich, or be in South America or Italy or any of the places he conducted, then you didn't get to hear it live. I agree that live is very different, that's for sure.
It's like theater and cinema, probably, a little. You know, the director of the movie, Serge Celibidache, said that he was sure 100% that you were the perfect actor to portray his father. And I wonder, did you feel some connection with Sergiu Celibidache? Some personal connection as, I don't know, a human, as his feelings? Did you feel something, a bond between you and his career?
So, somewhat. I mean, I wish I were that charismatic, but not many actors are that charismatic, I'm afraid. That's why we play other people. But I do feel a bond about live performance and a bond about classical music. A lot of my time in the last nearly 20 years has been spent doing classical music collaborations. And so I have a great love of the music, which certainly he had, but he had great talent in it and great knowledge in it, which I don't have particularly. But that's something. And then, as I said, the bond of live performance. Theater and film, I always say they're not even cousins, really, because theater live performance is an organic art, it's a living art, I mean, if it's an art, a living art, and is ephemeral. And movies aren't that, there's something else, but they're recordings, oddly enough, of something, but they're plastic. Meaning in the same way that sculpture is, it's a fixed thing.
It makes me wonder about the freedom of an artist, because Sergiu Celibidache was a free artist. And one director said once that one artist has to struggle a lot, to fight a lot, to be a free artist. What means to you being a free artist?
Well, speaking broadly, I think to be free to follow the things you're interested in. I could not, for instance, the last 20 years, I could have just done movies or television, etc. But when I started working with the classical musicians, I found a form that allowed me to express a lot of things that I would never be able to express in cinema or really even in theater. So I've been afforded the freedom to do that and the possibility and the opportunities to do it. And I think, to me anyway, that represents freedom.
Yes, it's beautiful. Let's talk a little about the movie, because people really loved it. You were on the stage,
Yes.
and I saw the emotion out there with the team. How did you feel out there with people just being happy? Some of them cried.
Yes. Well, this is the Yellow Tie is a culmination of years of work, especially by Serge Celibidache and his wife Adela, but by a number of people on the team, James, Olivier, and others. So, of course, I'm glad for them, and I feel quite honored to have been asked to do it, and quite pleased that the Yellow Tie presents a pretty full portrait of this man who had a lot of talent and a lot of integrity and fought the good fight for what he believed in. And I think it's very nice for Romania to see someone, as a bunch of people have said, it's not original thought at all on my part, to see someone who's succeeded in the world and became noted for his talent and his vision and the passion with which he pursued that vision. And you don't see many films like that. So.
It's a very sensitive story, because we have the story between a father and a son, and it's a sad one, a tragic one actually. I know that for you, family means a lot. So, how do you perceive this relation in this movie? What do we learn while watching the movie?
I think it is tragic in a way. I think it's more tragic in a way for the father than it is for the son. I think Sean Bean does a fantastic job playing Sergiu Celibidache's father. And now that's hard to imagine, sending your son away and never associating with him again because he wanted to have a life in music. Of course, now there are many parents who would worry about that, and a life in music, I know quite well, is not the easiest life. Much life in the arts isn't necessarily particularly easy. It might become easy for a very tiny percentage of people. So, of course, parents worry, and I find that relationship very touching, and especially so because if you grew up in a family where excellence wasn't sought or rewarded, it was expected. So I find it very touching that the worst thing in the world is not your parents expecting great things of you. It really isn't the worst thing in the world. I personally would say Celibidache, the son, was right in that I think he touched a lot more people with what he did than maybe even if he'd become the Prime Minister of Romania. Right. Maybe. But he followed what he loved doing and what he felt he was born to do. And that's the best you can do in your life, and in the end it's the best you can do for your parents, even if that means they don't really accept it, at least in his father's case.
I'm thinking right now that the director of the movie is the son of the character you portray. It is a little strange and rare. Did that change anything between you, the actor, and the director? Does it bring something new?
I wouldn't say necessarily brings something new. I would say it's quite unique in my experience. I think Serge had a very specific idea about what he wanted to present, but was very open in terms of collaborating with the people who helped him achieve his vision. But it shows, I think, an incredible love and devotion that he wanted to present this very full picture of not just his father, but of his mother, himself, his family, his culture, his country, the people who aided him, like the professor in Germany, and the life he had. And I think he did that. I don't know if there are other examples of a son doing a movie about his father. I'm sure there must be. I'm sure there must be, but I can't think of any, really.
You came several times in Romania. You played on the stages of theaters in Timișoara, Sibiu, Bucharest. You somehow love our country. What did you discover out here and you love so much? Because we see that. You really love our country. Why?
Well, half of my ancestry is Eastern European. So I've always felt quite at home in Eastern and Middle Europe. I've played here a lot, which I think is a beautiful country and lovely people and smart and talented, who I was just thinking today going around, a friend of mine said, would you take some photos? He doesn't know Bucharest, and I said, yeah, I'll try. I couldn't go out for long today, but you realize just all the changes from the pre-Habsburg time, which was, after all, I think something like 600 years. Yeah. And looking at Romanian history, I love the two outdoor museums, the one here, which is not very big in Bucharest, but the one in Sibiu is quite huge, fantastic, where they've just taken whole buildings and transplanted them into these outdoor museums, and just looking at the sort of how the civilization developed and what the various things came to and the various styles were, and all the beautiful churches from hundreds of years ago to now. A lot of great writing came out of Romania, and many very hard times in Romania. The most recent being obviously Soviet times, and then conversely after the collapse of the Soviet Union. So I think like a lot of Eastern Europe, there have been very hard times, but I always feel very at home when I come here, or Hungary, or Serbia, or Croatia, really everywhere in Eastern Europe, everywhere. So
a DNA test actually
yes,
told you that you are 43%
I think 43%
Romanian.
Romanian, yes.
Probably
Yeah.
that's why, or only a coincidence.
It always seems familiar. Yeah. My other grandmother, who was Scots, she would never set foot in our house because she said when she was invited to our house, she would say, "My God, it looks like a bunch of gypsies live there." And she was pretty hilarious, my grandmother on that side. But for me, it just seems a very familiar place with very familiar faces. And to me, it feels like home. So
in the end, I would like to talk a little for the people who will watch this movie, because I'm certain you have a message from the point of view of the actor who understood how to portray the life of a character we know from books or from history books. What would you tell the audience in Romania, but not only in Romania, also, I don't know, in Europe, about this movie? Why is it important?
I think it's important to, for the reason that it's very difficult, I think, for people who don't do it. It's very difficult for people to try and understand what an artist actually does and to a certain extent how they do it. It's either a great mystery, as if it's someone from another planet, some kind of alien, or it's a kind of pretension of some kind. But an artist spends his life in the realm of the human condition, in the realm of trying to understand what moves people, what touches people, what amuses people, what helps them endure. And essentially being able to reveal what is both beautiful and tragic about people and about what they do, and sometimes about what they can accomplish. I always say the best payday, we say in American English, I ever had was the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam asked me to do a program, the narration of Rembrandt's favorite printmaker, who was an artist called Seeger, Seeger. And they said, we can't pay you at all, but if we know you love the Night Watch, and when next time you're in Amsterdam, you come call us, you come when the museum is closed, and you can stay all night if you want, and we'll bring some wine and you can just look at it for as long as you want, which I did, and that's such a signature kind of achievement about the beauty that people can create in this world. Some take it from the real world, some take it just from their imagination, and most people combine the two. But being able to create, to kind of master and muscle that kind of that mastery of music is a fantastic achievement, and I think this gives a pretty good idea of what artists go through and the struggles, such as they are, that they have, which may not seem like struggles to people who work in a factory or who have jobs that are far outside the realm of art, but nevertheless are struggles to the artist.
So art will save the world, finally, probably.
I don't know if it will save. I don't know anything will save.
We
the
hope
world,
so.
But let's hope it.
Yes.
It could
Thank
help
you.
a little
Thank
bit.
you so much,
Pleasure.
Mr. John Malkovich, and we are waiting for you in Romania. Thank you so much.
Thank you.